The Cleveland Guardians have risen from the ashes. They sweep the Houston Astros on the back of Slade Cecconi. The best start of the year from him.
You are Locked On Guardians, your daily podcast on the Cleveland Guardians. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome on into a sweeping, I don't have any analogies for this one, sweeping Thursday of Locked On Guardians. The Guardians.
I got the sweeper out.
Oh,
I got
Jeff's
my mini
got it
sweeper
ready,
out.
so go. Turn it on.
I don't have it plugged in. It won't make any noise.
All right, cut it out.
Yeah.
The Guardians, though, the Astros were in L.A. not too long ago, and they beat the crap out of the Dodgers. The Guardians, no Clase, no Cade Smith, no Hunter Gaddis, no problem. Slade Cecconi takes care of things. I'm Justin Lada, and this is Locked On Guardians, the only place where you can get Cleveland Guardians talk every single day from the majors to the minors to the draft. It's our favorite half hour of the day. We hope it's yours as well, and we appreciate you being here, whether you're a first-time listener or an everydayer. So I have been a Cleveland Guardians fan by birth, and I have been covering the minor league system, providing prospect analysis and scouting reports since 2007. And we're going on 3 years here together, Jeff, here at Locked On Guardians.
It's the second longest relationship in my life. I'm going to be honest.
It's closing in on mine. Not quite, but it's closing in.
How
we get there, make sure you remember our anniversary.
I have no idea what that is. I have to go.
Wow.
I am, as you said, I'm Jeff Ellis, and I have been here since the beginning, one of the original hosts of any Locked On baseball show. For that, I was a longtime writer at Scout 24/7, nationally focused on prospects in the draft. One of our reviewers, Hildy, shout out to one of our everydayers. We got a lot of shout outs today for everydayers. Wanted to know my Cleveland baseball fandom because I don't live locally. I grew up in Akron. I went to Copley High School. I grew up, going to Canton Akron games. I remember being excited to get Alex Ramirez's autograph as a kid. So I grew up in the area. All my dad and his family were bigger baseball fans on my mom's side. So I was definitely raised in baseball. So that answers that question, hopefully, to Hildy. And then a big shout out to, we say we're going to thank everyone who does these. So very quickly,
let's save something for the end of the show. Let's save something for the end.
We'll save it for the end. We'll save it for the end.
All right. We got a lot to get in on today's show, so we want to get into it as quick as we can. So we have to talk a little bit about salary cap news on this show because there is a little bit of news to share on that. So we'll talk about some ownership stuff. We're going to talk about high school pitching targets for the Guardians. Not a lot of them, but we'll get into there. We'll talk about José Ramírez opting out of the All-Star game and what that means for Cleveland and him.
Good thing.
We have to start, Jeff, with Slade Cecconi getting the job done. Before we do get to that, I want to let you know today's episode of Locked On Guardians is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create your account, and use our code LOCKEDONMLB. You're going to get $20 off your first purchase. Some very valuable tickets can be purchased that way coming up. I'll tell you about that. But hey, no Clase, no Cade Smith, no Hunter Gaddis. Just throw Slade Cecconi. You're all good.
Before we go, I got to throw out the two other taglines so we don't get in trouble. I want to thank you for making today's podcast your first listen today and every day wherever you get podcasts. I know I already talked about our everydayers, but I do want to give another shout out to all of our everydayers, and we'll get to you later in the show. Now back to your regularly scheduled program.
Absolutely. Slade Cecconi. I can't. Again, I want to stress, we understand that the Astros don't have Jeremy Pena, they don't have Yordan Alvarez, but this is still a good Astros team.
Yeah,
and they again. I also want to reiterate, they beat the crap out of the Dodgers earlier this week. Okay. This is a good Astros team. They're in first place. This is not like some team where you're like, they're okay. Like, this is a good team. And Slade Cecconi went out there and dominated. The Guardians went into Houston and dominated. That was 2 weeks of frustration just taken out on the Astros, who are coming off a really good series against a really good team. And that is the way baseball works sometimes. But, man, I got to tell you, I don't know where this team would be without Slade Cecconi, Jeff. I mean, you don't have the best version of Tanner Bybee right now.
You don't.
David Ben Lively, remember him? He's been out for 2 months now.
The king of options.
Luis Ortiz. We don't know what's going on. He's like in purgatory right now, and who knows what he's watching? Maybe he's betting on boxing. I don't know. Where would this team be without Slade Cecconi? I can't believe you and I think we're as high on the acquisition of Slade Cecconi as anybody coming into the season because we said the traits are there. Tampa Bay also wanted him. But I don't know if either you or I thought this level of breakout this fast was possible for Slade Cecconi. He's had one bad start, I want to say.
Yeah, I mean, I gotta be just to go through the pitchers again. It's that situation we're talking about. Tanner Bybee has the same ERA as Tyler Anderson, who we often have made fun of on the show for being terrible. Like Tanner has struggled. Cleveland does not have a starter who's in the top 50 in starting pitcher WAR. Not one in the top 50. That's not good. And Tanner's the highest. Starting pitching's been pretty terrible on the whole. Like last year, at least you had Tanner, who was really good. And this year, they may not have a single guy who gets a 2 WAR without someone stepping up. And Luis Ortiz situation, of course, hangs over everything. But then again, after pinch hitting for for Rodriguez last night, and then the lineup he put today, I thought maybe we could make a joke about vote betting on games if he was going to put together the lineup he put today. And after sending, but Rodriguez came up with the hit today. We'll talk about that more later. Slade has been a lifesaver, and you had to trade Naylor to get. I always liked the pineapple-y ones, which I know people don't like, the coconut, the clear ones.
Shocking, because you also like black licorice. Somebody in our insiders group did send me a picture of Twizzlers, and it was black licorice Twizzlers. And he's like, "Oh, this is Jeff's aisle," and I'm like, "Yeah, it's disgusting."
There you go, some black Scotty dog licorice right behind me there. Yeah, I mean, you had to trade something to get something, and Josh Naylor's been better than Santana. You and I both expected it. Honestly, I thought Naylor would have a better year than he's having because Arizona is so hitter friendly. He's essentially replicating his season from 23, where it's weird he's not hitting for power, but I expect him. But to trade 1 year of let's be honest, a bad body first baseman with injury issues, and get a fifth rounder, get a starter and a comp B pick. And again, I've had some debates online. Cleveland was not going to offer Josh Naylor a qualifying offer. They were not going to risk him accepting and being a $21 million player. That just wasn't happening. They haven't given a qualifying offer in a very, very long time.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of the last person they offered it to.
I'm like, was it Santana? Was it Scott Kazmir? Was Kaz? Like, I'm trying.
Did they even have a qualifying offer back when they had Scott Kazmir?
Was it Jimenez?
Maybe. It might have been Santana.
I'm like, they don't do it. Like they decide, even though Brantley had a good year, to not risk it. Like they get nervous about things like that. They don't give the qualifying offer all that often.
Yeah. And that was not going to happen. Yeah.
No, so they weren't going to get a first rounder. And by a second rounder this year, by traditional metrics, is worth a first rounder in 2 years. So like, even if they made that argument to Tampa to help them get the comp pick, 6 years of Cecconi is more than one of Naylor. And where would we be without him? I don't know. I mean, they're still figuring this out with Ortiz out. Like Cantillo was great yesterday, but he's not stretched out to be a starter. He gave
you what he had.
Yeah. But thank goodness they went out to add starters. Like they knew this was a need. They knew they couldn't approach free agency with it. They had a goal and they achieved it.
And it still hasn't gone the way they wanted it to. I mean, honestly, like they lost Lively, they lost Ortiz now, which they weren't expecting. And it's also just really impressive that, you knew this was a situation where you needed length from Cecconi. Like, it's not just like, oh, great, we're going to go out there and be fine. Like, you didn't have 3 of your relievers. You brought Colby Allard back, by the way, on a minor league deal and had to call him up immediately and option Tim Herron down because you needed a fresh arm in the bullpen because you used Matt Festa 3 times in 5 days for some reason. Hunter Gaddis pitched 3 days in a row. Clase and Smith worked hard this week, which is a good thing for Cleveland's sake. But this is a situation where you needed length from Slade Cecconi. You can't always guarantee, there's a few guys in this league who you can say, okay, when we throw this guy in the mound, we know we're going to get 6 or 7 quality innings from him. That's what they want from Tanner Bybee, and they got last year. It hasn't happened as much this year. But like this team doesn't have a Tarek Skubal. It doesn't have, those kind of guys. So you can't just expect you're going to get that kind of performance with Slade Cecconi. The pressure was on for him to deliver because they needed the length. That's hard to do, especially in Houston. Like, even if this Houston lineup isn't as good as it normally is, that's still a very hard park to pitch in. So that was a dominant performance. I mean, you could see the changes he's made too, Cecconi. Like the fastball is not getting hammered as much this year, right? He's throwing the breaking ball for strikes. He's getting whiffs. He's using it to set his fastball up. He's throwing his fastball to the corners. The control is good. So everything is arrow up right now for Slade Cecconi, and I'm excited to watch him pitch. I was enjoying watching Luis Ortiz pitch, I'll admit, but Cecconi is just as fun.
He's also got a lot of emotion. It's funny that they traded one guy with emotion to get another guy who wears his heart on his sleeve.
Yeah,
it's what both of them do that, both Naylor and Cecconi.
They do, and it's fun to watch. I will say he's a very fun character to watch. Seems like he fits in the clubhouse really well. All right, speaking of the clubhouse, José Ramírez, he will not be playing in the All-Star game. We'll talk about why and how we feel about that. I think we might have differing opinions on that. Just guessing. Coming back here on Locked On Guardians. Have you ever decided the last minute you want to head to a ball game with friends or family? It's summer. It's game day a lot of days, no matter where you are. You want to realize, maybe I want to go out and enjoy the weather, and I want to watch some baseball. That is exactly where Game Time can come in for you. It is the easiest way to grab last-minute tickets without stressing. And all that money you save on tickets, you can splurge on food like Dollar Dogs. Talk about that in a second. Drinks, merch, and maybe you can even bring a couple more friends. Game Time makes that possible because they make tickets buying simple and fast. And prices on the app go down close to their first pitch, so you're going to get even better deals anyway. And you also know exactly what your seat's going to look when you get there. And you have the lowest price guarantee. It takes all the worrying out of buying. I might be using Game Time after the All-Star break. The Athletics are coming to town, which that means Nick Kurtz is coming to town, and I want to see him. And I'll be hitting up game day to go to that game and Dollar Dog Night. So I'll be there. You should be there. If you use Game Time, you can take the guesswork out of buying tickets. Download the app, create an account, use our code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. But again, create your account and redeem our code LOCKEDONMLB. You're going to get $20 off that first purchase. Download the Game Time app. Last minute tickets, lowest prices, guaranteed. Once again, thanks for being here with us on Locked On Guardians 5 days a week. Again, majors, minors, draft. Only place you're going to get that on any podcast, especially when it comes to the Guardians. Make sure you're auto-downloading on audio so you never miss an episode. Make sure you're hitting the bell on YouTube to get all of our reaction videos, episodes, whether it's breaking news, either it's after the game, and also, when draft stuff comes up, I'm sure we'll have draft stuff up there from both Jeff and I. Jeff, José Ramírez said he's going to opt out of the All-Star game. He's not going to play to rest some of his injuries and just kind of recover for the second half, which I know some people weren't upset about. I know one of our insiders, Dominic, was not thrilled about. He wanted him to play. And I agree. I want him to play because I know I love the All-Star game. You don't. You hate fun, so we've established this before. But I understand him not playing. Like, as much as I want to see him play, it does take away some of the luster for me. I still love the All-Star game. But I totally get it. José Ramírez, I think we have to really appreciate what a selfless superstar he is. Not only did this guy take less money to stay, he's shying away from the accolades of playing in the All-Star game to rest his body up for this team in the second half in a season where things aren't going that great. And he was out here in this game against the Astros stealing bases and hitting another home run. He had a home run every game this series. Like, that is just the most selfless superstar. We are so lucky to watch him play. I just wish the Guardians would be more appreciative of his talents and his price tag.
I mean, I think they are. I think they're very appreciative of him. Though they
can show it. Actions, not words, right?
I mean, someday we'll have to have this, and this isn't the day for it. But I think we could also admit they probably would have been better off had they, on a roster-wise, this is going to get me killed, I know what the trade was. It would have been James Woods and Mackenzie Gore and C.J. Abrams as 3 All-Stars for Jose. Thing for another day. I wouldn't do it, even knowing how good all 3 began. But it's kind of a fun debate for the offseason. Again, I wouldn't do it because I've never had continuity with a player in my entire lifetime. So it's nice to see that here. But, when it comes to Jose, the most telling thing to me is he feels so beat up, he's going to take time off. You have to drag Jose out of baseball games. Any or all baseball games. So in some respects, it's kind of scary that he feels, the guy who played a whole year with a broken thumb, my thumb doesn't bend anymore because I broke it. Like, it hurt when I did that. I couldn't do anything. Like, for him to play a whole season with that broken thumb, I don't know how he did it. And for that man to sit back now and be like, I am too hurt to play baseball. I need that extra time off. When a few weeks ago, he was like, yeah, I want to be in the home run derby too. Like, and he was in the home run derby when he had his broken thumb, side note. So that also speaks to just how beat up he is, how much he needs this rest. And, for this team, they need their engine. He's the little engine that could. He literally is. Yeah. And you need him to be there. So you need him to get healthy. And if it's Jose saying I need a break, then his leg is probably falling off.
Well, you wouldn't know it. I mean, again, he stole third base in the Houston game. He had a home run in all 3 games. Yeah, he was going through it when he got hit by a pitch by Kevin Gausman, which again is still crap for that whole situation. But he was, going through it, and all of a sudden he's picked things back up recently. So that's a good sign. I think he had a couple of good games at home before they went out to Houston, and then Houston series he's had a home run in all 3 games. So yeah, I'll take the rest. Again, the All-Star game loses a little bit of luster for me with Jose not playing because I love seeing him represent Cleveland, and everybody talks about just what a great player he is, and nobody gives him enough respect. But I get it. I'll still watch. I get it.
I won't.
He's still. I know you won't because
it could be the Guardians versus the rest of baseball, and I still wouldn't watch. It's exhibition.
Jeff
baseball.
hates All-Star.
I don't care about
exhibition.
exhibition.
He eats babies.
I don't care about anything that's an exhibition experience. I just don't care. I have no interest.
So you're not going to watch the Futures game either on Saturday?
No, I haven't watched the Futures game in 5 years. There's nothing to take from it. It's a hype showcase. It's just, and frankly, it's like on Saturday,
you
those
said
things
the ugly word. It's a showcase.
Yeah, it is. It's a showcase for future talent. It's a way to get names out there. It is literally a showcase game. That's all it is. Not a showcase for trades, but for talent.
You heard it here first. Anybody playing the Futures game, showcase for trade. So the Guardians could trade CJ Kavas.
No, I said it's not for trades because no one cares what happens in that game.
Well, it wouldn't be the first time somebody misinterpreted words today about the Guardians.
I don't know what you're talking about. But side note, we had a lot of appearances today. We were on 2 different radio stations and on the TV. So if you're coming here for your Guardians and draft coverage, we're just gonna let you know that we are in demand. This was I was on the pregame, you were on 92.3, and then it was the New Orleans News wanted us on to talk draft. So
to talk draft, yeah.
So
I got Ultimate Cleveland Sports Shows on Friday, and then
if you want to see. Everywhere. I was out for my wife's birthday today, so I couldn't do it. So I called Justin. So if you want to see Justin do a news broadcast, we'll maybe include in the show notes where you can find which news station he is on in New Orleans, talking draft. But yeah, I think, when you're looking at the Jose situation, because I don't care about exhibition baseball. I'm sorry to those who do. I'm not going to yuck your yum. If you like it, you like it. I would rather he just get healthy, like 100%. I would rather he rest. And with him struggling a few weeks ago, like I was like, please just take this off, and he is. So I'm happy about it.
Yeah, tell Jeff he hates fun. No, but that's fine. I agree. It's definitely good he did that, and I think this team does need him. All right, let's kind of quickly. Do you want to do the salary cap talk next, or do you want to do high school pitching? I think the salary cap thing is a very small conversation.
I think it's a small thing. It's just, I say here, you dive in, and why don't you just handle it, because we're getting close to the break, and I'll be kind of silent.
Yeah. So, because there's not a lot of high school pitching to go off of either in this class for the Guardians. Let's be honest with that. There was a report on The Athletic, coming from The Athletic, saying that Rob Manfred is having conversations with all 30 owners, and I don't want to misinterpret all the words, but it definitely sounds like he is trying to get a conversation started about, obviously we know the owners want a salary cap. Not really a shock, right? This is nothing new. Probably only the Dodgers and the Mets are not interested in a salary cap, but it sounds like that's a conversation that's happening, and Rob Manfred is trying to at least push towards it. Obviously, the players are apprehensive about it. They don't want it, and I understand that. But I do think this has a lot to do with the current owners who are buying teams, including the Guardians owner. So we're gonna talk more about how that affects the Guardians' future ownership in just a little bit, and after that, we will get to the high school pitchers to know in this draft class for the Guardians. So stay tuned for that.
But first, we have to talk about our good friends over at Open Phone. I have talked about them already, and I'll give you the spiel, and I'll tell you why it's super important. If you're running a business, every missed call is money left on the table. Think about the last time you had a service emergency. In my case, I mentioned the HVAC, because that went out one time when it was negative 10 degrees, 3 days before Christmas, and I had a 1-year-old at home. Do you think I waited for that first company? No, I called the second one. I called the third one. My wife went and got a hotel room. I called the fourth one. Eventually, I got to the 6th person on that list. They were able to come out the next day. It was not ideal. And if you were those other 5 companies, you missed out because you didn't have Open Phone. Open Phone is the #1 business phone system that helps you streamline and scale customer communication, all from an app on your phone or computer. it's going to make it so they have an AI agent who handles after-hour calls, answers common questions, and captures leads, so you never miss a customer. You can have a shared inbox, so everyone can get in on the action of helping out your company, making those calls, and making sure you don't miss a customer. OpenPhone is offering Locked On Guardians listeners 20% off their first 6 months at openphone.com/LockedOnMLB. That's OpenPhone.com/LockedOnMLB. And if you have an existing number with another service, OpenPhone will port them over at no extra charge. OpenPhone, no missed calls, no missed customers.
Quick shout out to Daniel B., one of our insiders deep in Red Sox territory. He said the Guardians were going to be 47 and 48 at the All-Star break. And, well, if they sweep the White Sox coming up, they will be. So shout out to Daniel.
I'll give very quickly the other shout outs. Neil Ramirez fan. I mentioned Hildy, Greg Klepsik, Roberto Nero, Howe, 144, Ang, 157, Bully Dog, 1009, HSJDK, FK, and Austin TH, who I appreciate, said that, can we just send Tim Herron down 6 days ago? I'm like, wow, yeah, well, yes, we can. We have that power. We accomplished it for you.
Yes, the listeners don't know how much power we actually have, which is none. All right, let's get back to the ownership thing real quick. So Jeff and I have this working theory. We don't have any insider knowledge on this, but we have this working theory, and it makes some sense because I know there's a lot of people in the comments. This is not the day for it because the Guardians are coming off of a 3-game sweep. But we said we talk ownership this week. We both feel, unless you correct me if I'm wrong, Jeff, but we both feel like David Blitzer owning this team, I think he's waiting for a salary cap. I think that was his play all along, was he was hoping he bought this team and a salary cap came along and stopped him from having to pay whatever. David Blitzer was never going to come in here. This would be the time right now. If you're looking for the Guardians to have a big splash up in payroll, this would have been the time to do it because he doesn't have controlling interest option until 2028.
He never invested the money to do it like Sherman did. He has never added.
Yeah, Sherman did it right away. Yeah, Sherman, the Guardians payroll went straight up as soon as Sherman came aboard. Blitzer's been here. It hasn't happened. Blitzer has ownership stake in the New Jersey Devils, the Philadelphia 76ers, multiple soccer teams.
He's going to be part of the Philadelphia WNBA team. Crystal Palace is a big English Premier League team.
Yes,
as well.
I believe he's also footing some money for the 76ers new arena that they're trying to build too. So there's a piece of that. Blitzer is looking to buy up real estate around Cleveland to build Ballpark Village. So his money is going towards that and not the payroll on the field. So, like, if you're thinking, David Blitzer, please come save us, I got to tell you, I don't think it's happening right away. It would be happening right now. And B, I think this guy was angling for a salary cap. I think it's the same thing. I think it's the same thing the White Sox. They got Justin Ashiba, the Phoenix Suns guy. I think that's the same thing with the White Sox. I think he's also waiting for a salary cap.
So just to give you an idea of his holdings, we mentioned 76ers, Devils, Joe Gibbs Racing, Philadelphia WNBA team, Global Football Holdings. He owns 6 teams, and independently he owns the Scranton Wilkes-Barre, Crystal Palace, Cleveland Guardians, Washington Commanders, Jupiter Lynx Golf Club, Real Salt Lake, and the Utah Royals. So he owns something in every sports league. That's not a guy who has the liquid cash to spend a lot. This team is going to spend only what it makes. It's only going to spend what it makes. There's not, and people just need to step up and realize this is a bottom 10 market. Cleveland is not a big market in terms of size and or average GP. I talked about before. I one time just took the metro area of an area times the average income of the area. Cleveland had the second lowest rating in all of baseball. Lowest was the Reds because of how their relative size and then the relative income. The San Francisco Giants were number 1 because of the high income. But like Cleveland is always, if you're just looking at the relative like A to B, and people will call us apologists and say we're just holding water for the Dolans, and that's fine. But like, it's
my paycheck hasn't cleared yet. I'll tell you that right now.
The only time I never got. I think I got like $120 check back when they had Sports Time Ohio, and I wrote at was it like the Cleveland Fan? And one of my articles, like you could generate money at Cleveland Fan, you get a cut of their proceeds and it would appear. So I think I did make $20 once from them. I could be wrong, but yeah. So there is that. I can.
Jeff's on the Dolan's payroll. He just admitted it.
That was
Someone's
back.
gonna run with that. That's gonna.
It was, I don't
That's
know.
gonna
That
get
was
fun.
it was when my
In the
buddy
days
Andy
of
Clayman and
yeah,
I.
I know.
No, it was before then. We did the best 64 since 64. We did a whole like
Oh wow.
tournament on Cleveland Fan, like the best 64 athletes since 1964. And I think it was like 64 years. No, it wasn't 64. I can't remember what else. But we did that whole piece, and they paid us $20 for it.
Well, let's. All right. Well, I'm sure it was more than that. Let's talk college. Let's talk high school pitching here. We'll round out our draft preview with college or high school pitching targets. Jeff, there's not a lot. I got to be honest with you. I don't think Cleveland's going high school pitching at 27.
Yeah, there's not a great fit. I mean, there are guys who are a good fit for them, but I feels very squishy.
Not at 27.
No.
Yeah.
And like I know some
And that's
people
not
have
the
asked me
middle.
about
That's not the squishy middle.
no, and people have asked me about Cruz Schoolcraft. I'm gonna bring up this fact now. There are 3 starting pitchers in Major League Baseball who are 6'7" or greater. There's only one who's bigger than who's 6'8" or greater, and that's what Schoolcraft is. That size just doesn't work. It's Bailey Ober's the only one. And the other 2 are Tyler Wells, who's hurt, and then I can't think who else is the third pitcher off the top of my head, but it's a poor list.
Sean Jelly.
Well, he's not a starter. He's a reliever.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know who the other one is. Yeah. So I don't think high school pitching is the way they're going to go at 27. That there just isn't an arm there to me that makes sense unless they're cutting a deal. But even then, I don't see it. But the pitching, you talk about Cruz Schoolcraft. There is high school pitching we do like. You and I both like Aaron Watson, who's a Virginia commit. He's from Florida. Really good pitch ability. We've heard a lot of things about Angel Cervantes going back to the spring. Cleveland saw him a ton. I know you like Landon Harmon quite a bit. Cameron Appenzeller.
Appenzeller's interesting, and like I think if they were to go in round 2, he makes the most sense. 6'6" lefty, had a down junior year because he's a basketball player, got a late start, and like he was a guy who was viewed as like the number 2 prep guy in the fall in this class, after Hernandez, before Schoolcraft, and then he was hitting high 80s because he played basketball, and I don't think he's the one who got hurt, but his stuff had backed up a little bit. He needs to get bigger, needs to get stronger, but that's what they like. They like the guy with the low velocity who's all about adding on. So I think Appenzeller could make some sense. I do think Cervantes, as we've said many times on the show, makes a ton of sense as well.
Yuli Fernsler, who's a 17-year-old left-hander who's pitches in Michigan. He's committed to TCU. I think he makes some sense for them.
I think
it's not as good a high school pitching class as it was a year ago.
There's a place where maybe Miguel Saime, who's been doing a lot of work in the MLB Developmental League. He's but he's all fastball. So I don't know. That's not necessarily their type.
Big fastball.
He is a cold weather guy. And then, throw out Caleb Wing from California, just because like this team loves California kids. And this is a Scotts Valley, California right-hand pitcher. So, Dowdy was a right-handed pitcher from California. Wyatt Jonas was a right-handed pitcher from California.
Jonas Wyatt, my God!
So that's what it was.
We don't have.
I'm trying to think who else. They had the Casey Shane was Texas. Micah Miniard was he California?
Micah Miniard.
No, he was Nevada, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was a cold weather kid, wasn't he? Micah Miniard, wasn't he Minnesota?
Mitch Brown was Minnesota.
Yes, Mitch Brown was Minnesota.
Kieran Lovegrove was Arizona or California. We just keep naming old players that they spent.
I really like Kieran Lovegrove. Yeah. No, who was the pitcher that was Harmon Killebreau's nephew?
Dice Kime, but he was a Vanderbilt kid.
No. That wasn't Dice Kime. It was a high school pitcher.
Oh, you're right. It was that guy in the second round who got hurt and then got the yips. Oh, I've forgotten his name. You're right. It's not Dice, because Dice Kime also got the yips. That's why I'm getting confused.
Yeah.
No, they spent, and it was out of nowhere. I remember when they took him, I was like, it was when I was kind of relatively new at this game, and I didn't have a write up on him. It's like they took a guy in the second round. I'm like, I hadn't spent any time on him at all.
Grant Hockin. Wasn't Grant Hockin a California kid?
I have to look. I don't honestly. I had forgotten that he existed.
He was from Pomona, California.
Pomona. You're right. So
all right, we're going way back.
We're going. But you can basically look at MLB.com's top 250 and just go down the list and read every profile on a pitcher from California, and there's a chance they'll consider him. They went very high school heavy on the day 3 a year ago. I could see that happening again. They love California. Like go through and look at some California talent. I still think they're going to take that kid. I'm blanking on his name from USC who didn't walk anyone this year. So I'll have to go and read undersized right-hander with no velocity and who didn't walk anyone. That seems very much a Guardians.
I don't
guy.
But they took what 5? Doughty, Mobley, Cam Sullivan, and Oki.
Yeah.
They took 4, 5, and then they took the kid from Hawaii too, whose name escapes me. They took 5 high school pitchers a year ago. I don't think that's happening this year. I'm just going to say that now.
No, because they don't have the money to spend. But then again, all of the extra money from Bazana just went to Mobley, so that's all that was. And it is interesting because it also sounds like I do think that they were going to take Hartle over Oki, and I think they got their pocket picked. And I think Cam Smith, Cam Sullivan. I think Cam Sullivan happened because they had a little bit more money because I think Oki was cheaper than Hartle was going to be. So I think they were able to then.
Sullivan hasn't pitched; he's been hurt. So yeah. Oki had a really good start the other night finally, and Mobley's been up and down, and obviously Doughty's been really good. So yeah, I would have to say I feel like it's going to be a hitter for sure. I feel like it's not going to be a college pitcher. I feel like it's going to be a hitter, whether it's high school or college.
Yeah, I mean, it's just going to be who slides. It's honestly going to be who slides. Like, that's how I honestly feel about a lot of this class.
Jeff, if you're here tomorrow, we're going to do Guardians White Sox game 1, obviously. Jeff might be doing some draft work behind the scenes, so he may or may not be joining us on Friday's show. If Jeff is here on Friday, we will do a mock draft. How about that, Jeff? We'll do a little mock.
Okay,
we'll do Prospects Live mocks.
Yeah, do Prospects Live mock.
We'll do a little mock. We'll talk Guardians White Sox, and if Jeff's not here, I might do a quick mock, and then we'll do a mailbag. We can ask any questions you want in the third segment. We'll see. So plan for that on Friday, and then don't forget, be here with us on Sunday when the draft starts. Jeff and I will be sitting here on YouTube the whole time on day 1, talking the draft. We'll be here on day 2, on Monday of the draft, the whole thing. So join us on YouTube live during the draft. We will be here. We'd love to have you on, and we'd love to talk with you during the whole thing.
Thank you for joining us, and go Guardians.